Good afternoon to you all. I want to welcome you to today's class on part 213 Organizational Conflict and Management. My name is Mr. AUTA Elijah. Today we are here to continue from where we stopped the last time. And during our last class, we were able to look at the overview of management. We were able to see what management is all about. We realized that management is about doing the work and getting the work done through the help of human and material resources. It's about coming together of two or more people to do that which ordinarily one person cannot do. And we realize that management has some certain functions which we know, and we also said that management has some certain characteristics, and those characteristics we know, which is universally know, and we realize that management can either be science or an art. And we've seen how management was a science and how it was an art. And so today, in this section, we shall be looking at the functions, qualities, and skills required for a good manager. What that simply means is that for you to be a manager, there are certain functions that you take and you do, you perform. And there's certain qualities and skills that you need to have, because to whom much is given, much is expected. And the issues of management itself is a very sensitive aspect that required someone to actually know what he's doing, to have some certain skills and qualities in him. And so that is what we'll be looking at today. And so we have our learning outcomes. It's expected that as a student of this course, you should be able to know who is a manager and also the function of a good manager. The second things you are expected to do or know is that you should be able to identify and explain the qualities of a good manager. It means that the manager has some certain qualities. So, and the next thing that you need to do is that you need to be able to list and explain the skills required of a good manager. So these are some of the learning outcomes at the end of this session. You should be able to know what a manager and the functions. You should be able to know the qualities of a good manager and what a manager is required to do. So by way of introduction, the managers perform some number of managerial functions such as planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. Why all of these things are done, it is necessary because planning is about you trying to have a mental picture of your organizations and doing what is required to be able to achieve that. And so by organizing, you should be able to arrange and put in place all both human and material resources. It's very important that that has to be observed. Then by staffing, this has to do with recruitment, selections of individuals to fill in vacancies. And so one of the functions of manager is to be able to bring in those who really matters and those who can actually contribute to organizational growth. So staffing has to do with selections and recruitment of individuals to fill in certain positions that are vacant. Directing is to be able to give a directions, give a destinations to all the staffs. Coordinating, how here we're talking about trying to assemble all the resources which is geared towards achieving a certain objective. Then reporting. By reporting, we mean putting down records of what transpired over time for the purpose of your needs. Then budgeting. Budgeting has to do with resource mobilization. You have to plan both income and expenses of the activities of organization within the financial year. So all of these things can only be achieved through someone who has a good qualities and skills who have good knowledge orientation about management. And so managing peoples and resources is one of the most difficult aspects. So all of these things will come to play in this session. So there are certain things that will be exposed you to know about the good quality of the managers and what they are expected to have. Now, the next thing we need to know is who is a good manager. It's a very important that you need to know who is a manager so that you can now begin to know what function this manager need to play and what kind of quality do this manager need to have. Because the truth remains that the management is, like I said, is a very sensitive aspect that cannot be taken for granted. So, and this cannot be overemphasized until we have a good knowledge about who is a manager. Then we begin to start thinking what is expected of that manager to do. And so, by way of this nature, a manager is actually someone who has leadership professions and take charge and is responsible enough. So, the two keywords or three keywords to know here is leadership professions, charge, and responsibility. And so, you must be able to develop some level of professionalism as a manager about handling matters. And to be able to take charge, we have some managers who are not in charge, but they are actually not in charge. The reason being because they don't really have that leadership. Many a times organizations they fail because managers they are so lackadaisical about their functions, their responsibility, and all of that. So by way of responsible, it's expected that you need to be responsible enough about what you are doing. Responsibility has to do with when you take action, you take blame for what is when things go wrong, and you take glory when things go right. So a manager should be someone who is seen as a figurehead, who is the commander in chief of the company or an organization, who helps to run the operations, who like to lead the employees into achieving the goals set aside by an organization. Manager is someone who will know that he conducts a lot of things. He ensures that the company reach its objective. So these are the meaning of who is actually a manager. Then the next thing that we need to know or we consider is the characteristics of a good manager. The manager should be able to have a good leadership skill. It's very, very important because any manager who lack leadership skills will always suffer employees and suffer organization. So leadership is ability to inspire others and motivate them to get things done. It's very important that a manager should be able to have a good leadership skill. Someone who have a good sense of judgment should be able to look at the head and say this is what we need to put in place. The next thing is should be able to should be well organized. It's very, very important. The productivity of organization, of course, can actually that when we have a manager who is well organized, who organizes his schedule and know when things to be done and when not to be done. But when you have a manager who does this anyhow, you discover that it will affect the productivity of organization. That is that. Then the next thing to know is a manager should have more experience. Experience is very important. When you are again and again over a particular thing, it has a way of making you matured. It place you in a very advantageous position because you must have gathered a lot of experience, a lot of information about that issues that you are working. So a manager shouldn't be somebody who is just a passerby, who is just passive, but should always be active in what he or she is doing. By so doing, it enables you to have enough knowledge, not enough orientation and information to challenge certain issues that may come to the table. The next issue we are going to look at today is the function of a good manager. A manager has so many functions. Among them, the manager should be able to interact with his clients. It's very important. It's somebody who shouldn't be always too serious, but at least try to be moderate, relate well, interact, speak well with his clients, customers, contractors. The truth remains that that's why some organizations always strategically select some individual who can actually talk well and talk to their clients. And you see, human relation is very important. When you are working with somebody who doesn't put on a smiley face, it has a way of discouraging customer and the business. So it's important that a manager should know all of these things. A manager should be able to be transparent. Transparency and accountability is very, very important. These are the virtues that a manager needs to have. You need to be transparent in his dealings, in his actions, in his decisions. Very important. I need to answer to calls when matter goes wrong. So managers, when things go wrong, they tend to look otherwise. They begin to get insulted and all of that. So it's very important. So a manager should be somebody who will be able to have the ability to manage his clients properly and his staff properly. It's very important. Then we shall be looking at the quality of a good manager. It's very important. Integrity and ethics is very important. Integrity is very, very important. You know, say it the way it is and you pass. Ethics has to do with morals. A good public manager in Nigeria should be able to uphold high ethical standard. You should be able to live by example. Very important. If times for work is 8, that you should resume work by 8. Not that work, you see, set time that times is 8 a.m. resumption time and you're coming to work by 10. It discourages actually. So managers should be able to what to build trusts, and prevent certain evils like corruptions in the system. Very, very important. Then the next quality is accountability. Accountability means answerability, to answer to a call for an actions taken, for decision taking, for any resources that has been entrusted is very important. You give an account. It's very important that we should know. So those are the quality that when someone has such qualities like we know that yes, this is a good manager. Then transparency. Transparency. Manager should be transparent. You have some manager who change figures. Have some people who are good in changing figures. So when you have somebody like that, it has a way of bringing the organization down. So transparency is one of the good quality that a manager ought to have. Then problem solving skills. Once a manager, when they see problem, they run away or they get cry. They need to call who should help. So a manager should be somebody who sees problem in hell and enter the hell and bring a solution. So it's very, very important. Very, very important. Be able to manage all of this thing, you know. Then the next issue, the skill required for a good manager means that you need some quality at the same time you need some skills. You have to guide yourself. A manager, human relation skills very important. A manager should be able to relate well with his customer, with his staff, those around him is very important because that will speak a lot of volume when it comes to productivity generation. So it's very, very important. Human relation is very important. You should be able to wear a face, carry. Some people are so pride that they don't relate with their staff, and they've forgotten that it's all about privilege, not a right. When privileges are given to us, we should know that it is just for a while, for a time. So it's very important. So a manager should be able to someone who relates well, who understands what a relationship is all about. Relationship is very, very important. Because of relationship, many people get some things for themselves today. And so we should take note of all of these things. The next thing, technical skills. A manager should be somebody who is technical enough. Ability to use tools, you know, somebody that know how to operate computer. The truth remains that you know how to operate computer, it's a skills to you. So it's able to navigate situations. Very, very important. Acquire skills other than what you are doing. It's a very good advantage over you and others. So and all of that. So you able to have these techniques, special information, special skills that when you have it, you have the word to help you. So a manager should be able to develop such skills like that. Then knowledge about the organization. It's unfair that some organizations today we have most of the leadership they don't even know the organization, left alone allowing the employees to know the organization. So it's very, very important to be able to know the strengths, to be able to know the weaknesses, to know the opportunities that are available, and the threats that can bring the organization down. So when we have a manager who knows all of this, it has a way of placing the organization into a very good standard. So thank you and see you in our next class.